So you're looking at SEO Autopilot, which is a Windows-based software, which I'll show you how you can access it through the Mac to actually grow links. So you can actually grow links to your website. It could be a client's website if you're doing this as a business. You can also put YouTube embeds. So the whole thing is search marketing to actually grow that site's backlinks. And some of this content can actually outrank. We've done it where people's got poor websites, and our posts have actually outranked them. So SEO Autopilot, it's a Windows-based software. You can access it through the Mac. Most people generally don't install it on their main work machine. Reason being that it emulates a human. The whole idea of this software is so as it posts, it's posting content that is going to look like a human's post it. So the software itself tries to emulate humans. And one of that is the way it opens Chrome and is posting content. Now, if you got it on your main machine and you're moving your mouse around, you'll find that sometimes the content you're pasting or dropping in and stuff like that on the application you plan to be working is something that SEO Autopilot is just putting into its own, clipboard, ready to post onto one of those other sites. So the solutions are, you can either run it in the cloud, and I'll show you, there's some services where you can get an install of Windows and it's in the cloud, VPSs. So there's different services, can vary anything from say $10, $20. The cheaper services, you can have less calls and stuff like that. And I wanted a solution which isn't cloud-based. Now, I had been running it, if I move to this angle, I had been running it first in a VM, which is a virtual machine. So on the PC behind me, my main work PC, that's got something like 64 gig. It's got high-end graphics cards, loads of hardware. Basically, it's a beast of a machine. So I actually created a partition in there and run a VM, which is a virtual Windows install on that. Now, that was great. The only problem is SEO Pilot could be running for days, depending to the configuration and how many posts you're doing. It could be running for days. And if I've got an update, and if I didn't need that machine, say I was going to go to bed early at 10 o'clock and I didn't want the machine on all night, I'm just burning electricity. So I wanted a less power hungry method. So I moved the install to my laptop, which was great. Now, this laptop, for specs, I'll tell you the specs. Now, SEO, I've got them scribbled here. So SEO Autopilot either recommends a VPS or a laptop desktop. To run it, you're going to need a 4-core, at least 4-core, 8 gig of RAM, 10 gig of free hard drive space, and they recommend SSDs. So that's on their website. So that's what they recommend. So SEO Autopilot. So that's what they recommend. Now, I was running it on this laptop, which is an early 2018 7th generation Intel i5, and it had 4 cores and had 8 gig of RAM. I updated it to 24 gig because I've got a spare stick. So that's the spec I was running, not a problem. The only reason I'm moving it off this, I killed the battery. So I replaced the battery the other day on this, and I thought, well, this is basically going to knacker again in about a year or so if I just run it again. So I decided to change platforms and run it on a small gaming machine. So what I brought is this. If I move that out of the way, so I've actually brought this. If I go to Amazon, if I flick to this screen and then go to Amazon, this is what I actually brought. So it's an 8-core, and obviously these 8 cores are more efficient than the old i5. I'm just taking this out of the box. So it's an AMD Ryzen 7, 32 gig of RAM, and 500 gig SSD, and again USB and basic latest technology. So it should run through this without any issues. And I said, if you've got a Mac, you can actually do the same thing. You could buy something like this. You can get one slightly cheaper than this. You wouldn't want the ultimate and cheap machines because it probably won't run so good. And then you can get an app. It's free on the Apple, called Microsoft Remote Desktop. Windows Pro and above has that built in. That's one of the reasons I moved off the laptop as well. I want to access it from here. I was using Google's Chrome remote, so I could access it through there. but again, it's slightly laggy through the browsers. Was actually doing Microsoft Remote Desktop. I mean, it's almost like if you're not there, so VPN from this Mac into the PC, not a problem. So the idea is, so what I'm going to do is set up this on this machine, and I'll go through what this machine's got and just a quick unboxing and what you'll need to run SEO Autopilot. So if I go to the overhead, so, and I've had this for about a week or so, I've done nothing with it yet. So I need to do this. So in case there's an issue, I've got my return date. So this machine itself from the back, if I hold that to the camera, so from the back, we have a LAN port, 2 USB A's, one's a 3, obviously, that's the previous generation. We have a display port, and we have a HDMI. Now, I'm going to show you where, once you've set this up, it doesn't have to be expensive. Or once you've got the machine, all you're probably going to need is a keyboard and a mouse. I think you still need a keyboard attached to boot into Windows, I think. If I'm wrong, let us know in the comments. If you because I remember that this is going back a couple of years. If you didn't have a keyboard, it would error, and you would have to F1 for it to bypass that. If that's changed, let us know. I might find out by doing it myself. Anyway, and obviously the power port there on the front. 2 USB 3. These are 3 in it. A and a C, and a headphone jack. Sorry. So the only other things you're going to need is obviously a mouse to at least set it up, and I'll move that out of the way, and a keyboard. So if you haven't got that, I would assume you're going to need a keyboard, and that's it. Now, monitor wise, obviously you're going to need to plug it into a display to get the setup going and stuff like that. And once you've got your desktop set up on your little machine, i.e. this, and you've got desktop set up on your main, be it a main PC or a laptop. The nice thing about this, you could set this up and you could be accessing it from a laptop. So if you do a lot of working in cafes and stuff like that, this means this can be in the home office or whatever, just churning away doing those posts, and you're out and about. Now, you don't need a monitor once it's all set up. So if you haven't got a spare one, just plug in a HDMI cable to your TV, get it all set up, and then you can disconnect it. And then you can buy, I'll leave a link to all the equipment and the software and all that kind of stuff in the comments below. There are affiliate links. I make $1 million every time you buy something for $3. No, it doesn't cost you any more. So this little thing, they vary from $7 to $10, depending if you've got the 4K version or the HDMI. And this is an emulator, like a dummy monitor. So once you've got it set up in the HDMI socket there, you'll just plug that in there. And that, as far as this device is concerned, is either a full HD monitor or a 4K. I think these are 4K. I've got HDs at the back there. And that's it. So once you've got your keyboard in, which I think you need, I might be wrong, and that's your setup. Obviously, there's a power brick here, which is just a standard. I mean, the power brick's half the size, no, a third of the size of the machine. So I mean, this is a nice, cute install. So once you've got that on there, as I said, you don't need one of these. You can do it in the cloud, but I wouldn't put it on your main machine, because as it's trying to emulate the machine, as in moving the mouse and copy and paste, it's gonna drive you crazy. And then if you're running a campaign that's going to take 24, 36, 48 hours to run, you've got to leave that machine on. Obviously, you can off the monitors and stuff like that. So over time, it'll probably be more energy efficient and save you in electricity by getting one of these small things. So other things, once you've got it installed, I'm going to port over all profiles from SEO Autopilot, which I've got on my laptops. I'm going to port them over and then do an install and then walk you through with everything you're going to need. So you're going to need, and how to set them up. So you're going to need IP addresses. You're going to need some way of generating the content. So you might be using AI. Once you've done that, you'll probably want to spin it, because as each website wants to be slightly unique. You can also upload images and videos. Obviously, you can embed your videos from things like YouTube and stuff like that. The images, you can create the images and either pull them from your, hot link them from your website, or you can actually put them on cloud servers and pull them in through that method. So you're going to IP addresses, images. You're going to need a capture account, something to deal with those captures, so those weird symbols and numbers and all that kind of stuff. Because obviously, as you sign up for these accounts, it's going to be signing up for accounts to all these different websites as if you're a human. So as it does that, the capture tends to come up, and those need solving. So you're going to need one of those services. And once those are posted, you're going to need a crawler, which will either crawl those links, a crawler or an indexer. So over time, those links will actually pass juice and link diversity to your assets. And there's different ways of running SEO Autopilot. So if you are new, if it's a new website, they have wizards. If I click back to the software, they have wizards. Fairly straightforward. You pick up the again, I'll walk through all of these, the solution you want. So if it's a new website, you can go through the wizard, say how old your website is, and then it'll recommend a different plan. And then you put your content in, your links and all that kind of stuff, and then it'll start building your campaign. So I'll show you I'll do a series of videos which will walk you through each of the aspects, building a few different campaigns and other things. So you can use some of the defaults, which are fine, but if you take your time and change things, you actually get more unique URLs, more relevant URLs, and potentially more stickable backlinks. So, and I'll walk you through all of that. So I'll leave links to that playlist here somewhere. If you have found this video helpful, do give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. We're going to be covering all aspects of SEO, both for beginners and some not necessarily black hat, maybe some grey hat tricks for you to actually get some rankings up in the search engines, as well as the normal everyday stuff. So as I said, don't forget to tap the subscribe button, turn on the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.